Hello Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv Newscast for Monday, February 25th, 2019. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. I am Braden Holochek. Shortly we will take a look at what's going on around the globe. Then Lexi Gross will fill you in on what's happening in the sports world. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. Hays City Manager Toby Doherty received a 3% pay increase earlier this month. He has been a city employee around 14 years. First, he was hired as the assistant city manager. A few years later, Doherty became city manager. His performance is well recognized by his colleagues. Hays Mayor Henry Schwaller said Toby has a unique talent. Not every manager is going to appeal to everyone. Overall, he does his job very soundly. Doherty's annual salary now sits at $128,508. This is bumped up from $124,768. The City of Hays is looking to challenge the state in a request to pipe water from Edwards County. A project by the city has the idea of piping water from a 7,000-acre ranch in Edwards County. The city has been working through the state's process and is looking forward for an answer soon. If the state doesn't come through by March 1st, Mayor Schwaller says the city will act on this. The water would be mostly used for irrigation of crops. Schwaller says the city has studied the ranch and water availability. This project between Hays and Russell would give nearly 8,000 acre-feet of city access to water rights. Hays High Principal Martin Straub will interview for the same position at USD 383 Manhattan Odin. Straub is set to interview on March 1st. Straub is one of 5 candidates for the position. Fort Hays State University's Forsyth Library will feature guest speaker Angela Bates, Executive Director of the Nicodemus Historical Society and Museum, from 12:30 to 1:30 on Wednesday, February 27th. In the Forsyth Library's South Study area. Bates will present Nicodemus, Kansas, a story of black migration to western Kansas, a story about migration to and from Nicodemus in the late 1800s. Each year, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History announces a Black History Month theme to focus the attention of the public and explore historical issues of importance to those of African descent. The theme selected for 2019 is Black Migrations, which highlights the movement of freed slaves to new geographical regions and social realities. In the early 20th century, black migration patterns often included a move from the South to the Midwest region. Nicodemus, located 54 miles from FHSU's campus, is a National Historic Site under the U.S. National Park Service. Settled in the Free State of Kansas in 1877, Nicodemus is the oldest and only remaining all-black settlement west of the Mississippi. Bates, a descendant of original Nicodemus homesteaders, worked to get Nicodemus designated a National Historic Site and serves as a speaker for the Kansas Humanities Speakers Bureau. The lecture is free and open to the public. The Hays Area Chamber of Commerce is beginning its search for its next leader. Executive Director Tammy Welbrock announced her resignation of the position after 8 years. She will continue with the chamber through July while the Board of Directors goes through a search to find a replacement. Welbrock will pursue her plans to launch her own professional training business. She is also an adjunct instructor of business communication at FHSU and has a master and bachelor's degrees from Fort Hays as well. The university's Department of Social Work will expand its Bachelor of Social Work program to Colby Community College thanks to the help of a $95,000 grant by the Dane G. Hansen Foundation in Logan. The grant will help fund 3 years of operations at Colby beginning with the fall semester. The FHSU program began as a creative way to begin correcting shortages of licensed bachelor's social workers in rural southwest Kansas. The department currently offers programs at Garden City Community College, Dodge City Community College, and Seward County Community College. Republican Representative Cheryl Helmer of Mulvane is seeking the state to provide $500 to every public school teacher in the state to help offset classroom supply expenses. She says many teachers in the state use their own money to provide books, games, puzzles, and decorative hallway bulletin boards to enhance students' learning experiences. House Bill 2233 would help teachers with those reimbursements. Helmer said, "As a school counselor, I know that teachers are held responsible for having their rooms adorned with educational stimulus, which both decorates and fulfills the need to make a classroom a warm and safe learning home during the day." Opponents of the bill, including members of the Kansas National Education Association and the Kansas School Superintendents Association, say the legislature should be focused on the state's Supreme Court ruling to adequately fund public schools. Helmer's plan to provide teachers with spending money would cost approximately $17 million for the state's 34,700 teachers. Others have argued that teachers would prefer to see the extra $500 in the form of a pay raise. Hayes and surrounding areas are still shoveling snow after this weekend's storm. It closed roads across the state, including I-70. Road crews and state troopers worked continuously throughout the day to improve conditions and make travel safer. The National Weather Service says Hayes received 7 inches of snow. There was recently a hearing for a bill that would enforce heavy restrictions on wind energy farms across Kansas. If passed, a law would say there's a requirement of a 1.5-mile difference between residents' homes and wind farms. There is concern by residents that live close to the wind farms. They feel the health and safety of their children is an issue. Noise from the wind turbines has led to distress and sleep habits, as well as symptoms leading to cardiovascular disease and more sickness. The Can't Wait to Read campaign is ready to speak to parents in Kansas. The campaign has been developed by the Kansas Health Foundation and looks to help parents understand the importance for kids to read. Statistics showed that 63% of Kansas kids were not reading at grade level. The Kansas Health Foundation has begun its campaign just last week. Here on campus, the Student Government Association says it's looking forward to this semester. Tiger Media Network's own Corey Lynn recently spoke with SGA President Adam Shibby. Shibby says he hopes the full community gets involved in the big event and community service project that the campus hosts each April. He also said he's looking forward to working with President Tisa Mason on the university's strategic plan.
That's one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to, continuing with President Mason and her work in the strategic plan, looking at how are we going to continue into the future as an institution and how we can play a part in that as students. It's very exciting from my standpoint, and I hope that the incoming president will have the same viewpoint towards it as well.
You can read Corey Lynn's full story about her interview with Adam Shibby on tigermedianet.com. When we return from this short break, stay tuned for news from around the globe.
Here at Fort Hays, we believe in experiential learning. If you're interested in digital media production, coming to a school that can get you a degree gives you an organized, methodical way of learning about the field.
We like to make sure students get the tools they need and then have the freedom to go and do what they want with it as well.
Software-wise, we've got all the Avid tools and we've got all the Adobe tools. We also have certification programs with the Avid certifications for video production, audio production, and newsroom management.
I've gotten so much experience here that I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else. All the students are basically just one giant team, so it's just like a big family here. So I think if you're interested in media, you should definitely check out Fort Hays State.
In the digital media concentration, you're going to come away with skills as a creative storyteller. Everybody's using video on the internet. Somebody has to produce that, and it could be you.
Welcome back, Tigers. I'm Braden Holochek, and here's what's going on around the globe. Last week, President Trump was sued in response to his national emergency declaration. Trump was granted $1.375 billion for the wall, far short of his initial request for $5.7 billion. In order to be granted the rest of the necessary funds, Trump declared the wall a national emergency. The ACLU, however, did not see this as fitting. The lawsuit states that the wall is not a national emergency, but rather that Trump was unable to secure funding for the wall from Congress. There has been no proof of emergency at the border, and in a press conference last week, Trump stated, "I didn't need to do this, but I'd rather it be done much faster." Now the American Civil Liberties Union is using those words against him. The ACLU gained immediate support from the rest of the United States. Those pursuing the lawsuit against Trump include Washington, Hawaii, California, Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, and Maine. As of Monday morning, Trump has been accused of sexual assault, shedding light on another lawsuit. Former campaign staffer Alva Johnson stated in a press release that Trump forced himself upon her during a rally in August 2016. She stated she immediately felt violated but did not report it at the time for fear of losing her source of income. Currently, over 20 women have claimed Trump sexually assaulted them. However, he has not yet faced any legal consequences. In response to the allegations, Trump has said that it is absurd and claims some of the women were not attractive enough for him to consider sexually assaulting. The timeline for each of these accusations ranges from the 1980s up until 2019. In 2014, Illinois gunman Gary M. Martin checked no when asked if he had ever been convicted of a felony on his firearm owner's ID application. However, in 1995, Martin had pled guilty to charges of aggravated assault against his then-girlfriend. Martin spent 5 years in jail and showed signs of being a reformed citizen. However, 5 years ago, after being fired from his job, Martin opened fire on his former co-workers, killing 5 and injuring 6. Martin was also killed in the shootout between the police and him. It is the responsibility of firearm owners' ID card staff to search for applicants' names in both state and federal databases. If this had been done, it would have prevented Martin from purchasing a weapon and potentially saved the lives of those killed in the warehouse back in 2014. When the FOID staff was questioned, they stated that Martin's background check showed criminal history only in Illinois, which revealed no prohibiting factors. Upon purchasing the weapon, Martin's information was yet again background checked and cleared. It wasn't until Martin applied for a concealed carry license that the error was found. In this case, fingerprints were required to obtain the license, which identified Martin within the Mississippi Department of Corrections database. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders recently announced his campaign to run for president in the 2020 election. This will be Sanders' second Democratic bid after losing to Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. Sanders' campaign is promoting a number of progressive ideas to benefit health care, offer affordability for a higher education, and according to Sanders, will transform our country and create a government based on the principles of economic, social, racial, and environmental justice. The Democratic frontrunner also made remarks referencing the current United States president, stating, "Trump is a pathological liar, a fraud, a racist, a sexist, a xenophobe, and someone who is undermining American democracy as he leads us in an authoritarian direction." Sanders is also quoted in a message directed towards the rich and powerful that while they have the money, we have the people. Other Democratic candidates running include former Congressman John Delaney, former tech entrepreneur Andrew Yang, former San Antonio Mayor Julian Castro, and California Senator Kamala Harris. A large trend among these candidates is that of capitalism and socialism, two ideas actively fought by the right-of-wing politics. Goodloe Sutton, editor of the Democratic Reporter, shocked the world with the headline reading, "The Klan needs to ride again," in reference to socialist communists in Washington, D.C. The editorial piece goes in depth explaining how Democrats in the Republican Party are plotting to raise taxes in Alabama and how Sutton feels the nation would benefit from the KKK cleaning out gated communities. Democratic lawmaker Terry Sewell urged Sutton to resign through a tweet stating, "For the millions of people of color who have been terrorized by white supremacy, this kind of editorializing about lynching is not a joke, it is a threat." Current action taken in regards to the highly offensive piece includes Sutton's Hall of Fame status being stripped from his alma mater, the University of Southern Mississippi. He has also been forced to resign, and Alicia R. Dexter, an African-American woman, will take his place. Prior to the scandal, Sutton had been editor and publisher since the early 1960s. Dexter is a well-known Alabama writer who hopes to show that the Democrat Reporter is everyone's paper. That's what is happening in the news world this week. Stay tuned for a sports update with Lexi Gross when we return.
One reason students should major in MIS is that it's a nice blend between technology and business. For MIS specifically, though, it's to improve business decision making. MIS graduates for about the past 10 years have had a 100% placement rate after graduation, which is either them continuing on to master's school or getting a job within the field.
The faculty and staff here at Fort Hays in the informatics department has helped me secure a full-time job post-graduation. They're really here to help us succeed.
I have to constantly keep up with all the evolutions and the trends so I can, bring these cutting edge or emerging technologies into the classroom so students can experience them themselves and also learn from them and be better prepared for when they graduate.
Welcome to TMNtv Sports. I'm Lexi Gross bringing you a sports update. The Kansas High School Wrestling Tournament took place this past weekend across the state. The Hays High Indians earned a couple of medals in the 5A class. Freshman Gavin Myers placed 4th in the 182-pound division. Myers got a first-round win on day 1 and then earned his second straight fall in the quarterfinals. He came up short in the semifinals, losing in a 4-3 decision. On Saturday, Myers had his 3rd win of the tournament with a fall in the 2nd round. Myers then lost in a 9-3 decision in the 3rd place match against Landon France of McPherson. Logan Schultz won the 2nd medal for the Indians by finishing 6th in the 285-pound division. Schultz opened the tournament with a fall in the first match, but lost by a fall in the second. He won by a 5-1 decision in the consolation bracket and then won again by a second period fall to reach the consolation semifinals. There, Schultz dropped a 5-2 decision and then lost by forfeit in the 5th and 6th place match to receive 6th place. Hays High brought 4 other wrestlers along with Myers and Schultz, including Creighton Myers, Chase Voth, Cole Schroeder, and Gavin Nutting, who all made it to the 2nd day of the tournament. The FHSU number 10 ranked wrestling team competed at the NCAA region tournament this last Saturday. Number 1 ranked Brandon Ball earned his 3rd trip to the NCAA Division II National Championship in the 141-pound division. With Ball began his day with a fall over James Loy of Kentucky Wesleyan. He then earned another fall after pinning Caleb Osborne in 3 minutes and 58 seconds. In the semifinals, he defeated Danny Swan of Lindenwood with a 12-3 decision. Ball then went on to beat Nate Kim of Central Oklahoma with a narrow 3-2 decision. He improved his undefeated season to 24-0 on the year. Brandon Ball will have about 2 weeks to prepare for the NCAA Division II National Championships in Cleveland, Ohio on March 8th and 9th. FHSU men and women's basketball were on the road this last week. The number 4 ranked women's team won its 2nd regular season MIAA trophy after defeating Northeastern State 90-66. The title is the Tigers' 10th league championship in regular season history and their 9th regular season title all time. The Tigers have won their 10th consecutive game, giving FHSU multiple double-digit win streaks in a single season for just the 2nd time in program history. Leading scorer against Northeastern State was junior guard Casey Kennett with 23 points and 12 rebounds. Earlier in the week, they faced off against Central Oklahoma, picking up a win 70-48. Junior Laney Page was the leading scorer in this game with 20 points. The Tigers are currently at a record of 25-1 overall and 16-1 in MIAA standing. The men also faced off against Central Oklahoma and picked up a close win 69-66. Leading scorer for the Tigers was senior Brady Worth with 22 points and 10 rebounds. This win put the Tigers into the MIAA tournament. Unfortunately, Fort Hays came up short against Northeastern State last Saturday, falling 62-72. The Tigers' overall record moved to 16-10 and 10-7 in the MIAA. Fort Hays remains in 4th place in the MIAA standing. Both men and women's team will return to Gross Memorial Coliseum to face off against Missouri Southern on Thursday, February 28th. The Kansas University Jayhawks men's basketball had a tough loss this past weekend against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. The Raiders set a school record of making 16 three-pointers and a 60% shooting night to take down the Jayhawks 91-62. The losses ended KU's 8-game winning streak and put their record 20-7 on the year and 9-5 in the Big 12. Redshirt junior Dedrick Lawson led KU with 14 points to go along with 5 rebounds. Lawson made 3 of 8 from the field and added 7 free throws, all within 26 minutes. Texas Tech ended the game with a 60.7% clip, which is the first time this season a KU opponent has shot over 50%. The Kansas State University Wildcats men's basketball hosted the Oklahoma State Cowboys this last Saturday. The Wildcats had a season high of 61.5% of shots made from the field to beat the Cowboys 85-46. The 39-point victory was the largest over a conference opponent in more than 21 years. The Wildcats jumped out to a 15-0 lead and held the Cowboys without a field goal for the first 7 minutes of the game. Leading scorers for the Wildcats were juniors Xavier Sneed and Austin Trice, both averaging 12 points in the game. Head coach Bruce Weber was able to play all 13 available Wildcats with such a large lead. K-State's overall record now moves to 21-6, with their Big 12 record moving to 11-3. The Wildcats will face the Jayhawks on Monday, February 25th, with tip-off at 8 p.m. The FHSU track and field team had a successful weekend at the MIAA Indoor Track and Field Conference Championships. The men's team earned a 6th-place finish and had Tigers complete record-breaking and high-placing finishes. The distance medley relay team, consisting of Brett Meyer, Israel Barco, Malcolm Gardner, and Sepe Vont Westende, completed the relay with a new school and MIAA record time of 9 minutes and 52.8 seconds. This also gives the Tigers the 10th best time in NCAA Division II. Brett Meyer also defended his previous title in the mile with a time of 4 minutes and 9.98 seconds. Philip Landrum competed his weekend with an NCAA Division II qualifying time of 6.83 seconds to win the 60 meters event. Colt Newell also earned an NCAA qualifying mark and took 2nd place in the high jump with a jump of 6 feet 11.5 inches. This was also a personal best jump for him. Another new record holder for the Tigers is Matthew Piper. Piper earned a new school record in the decathlon with a 4th place finish by accumulating 5,083 points. The women's side of the team finished overall in 7th place. Marina Goncalves had 2 runner-up finishes with a time of 9 minutes and 58 seconds in the 3,000 meters and a time of 17 minutes and 41 seconds in the 5,000 meters. Maddie Rosie had a big weekend for the Tigers as she claimed a provisional in the pentathlon with her 6th place finish capturing. 3,258 points. Rosie is currently 4th on the FHSU all-time list. Summer Craigle finished 3rd place in the high jump. She was able to claim a provisional with her jump of 5 feet and 6.5 inches. Rohei Singate also received a place on the podium after placing 3rd in the triple jump by improving her NCAA qualifying mark at 39 feet 9 3/4 inches. The 4x400 relay team set a new school record and finished in 5th place with a time of 3 minutes and 54.27 seconds.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. The relay team includes Lindsay Shoup, Maddie Rosie, Perry Lang, and Lyric Holman. Both men and women's team will compete in the NCAA Division II Indoor Track and Field Championships on March 8th and 9th at Pittsburgh State University. The Fort Hays baseball team struggled to get the bats going in Sunday's MIAA opener against Missouri Western. The Tigers fell to the Griffins 7-1. Missouri Western started off hot after pushing across 3 runs over the first 2 innings. Sophomore Landon Irway got a run back in the top of the 4th after he swiped 2 bases before coming around to score on Tyler Olson's double down the left field line. Unfortunately, the Griffins wouldn't allow any more for the Tiger offense after their pitcher only allowed 3 hits and struck out 12 over 7 innings. The Griffins then pushed 2 more runs across the 6th inning and another 2 in the 8th. FHSU will face off against Missouri Western again on Monday, February 25th. Tune in later this week for another episode of TMNtv before this weekend. To stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit tigermedianet.com. Until then, remember, roar Tigers!